Hello dear friends, my name is Lady Carla Bouvier, coming to you live again January 8th, 2014. This is the finale. This is it. This is the final chapter. When Beauty Becomes a Curse is the final chapter of everything. Of my post, I stated that I would not be going through it next year, and we're already into next year, so it's time to end it. And yeah, I'm getting some pressure. Time Warner is trying to shut my internet off for erroneous charges, but I'm not going to allow that to happen. Well, people, I'm not going to go all the way back down memory lane, but I'm going to be consolidating everything on my book wall from in the beginning, from when I started back in 2010. So, posting, or 2009. Well, we're here, and right now we're going to talk with the present. Yes, Miss Bouvier, they sent several people into Miss Bouvier's life they used. And the people that they used are as follows: Rick Fusaro, Michael Salisbury, Jason Hicks. These are the people that came into my life. Jason got out. Jason really wasn't what you call involved. And I think, when the strategy of asking these men to come into my life, or allowing these men to pursue a relationship with me, their strategy is to try to keep Carla Bouvier isolated, and, to where she couldn't get out and become her own. And it's unfortunate so many people's lives were affected in this, and they didn't have any remorse. But, to think about it, these people would have to get their power somewhere, and that's where the politicians come in. Because you don't take everyday people like Rick Fusaro, Michael Salisbury, and Jason Hicks. You don't take them as powerful people. I think they wanted me to have the relationships with the men because they wanted to try and embarrass me, and they wanted to keep me isolated. Like, most of these men were controlling, and they wanted their women inside the home, not, pursuing their goals. Although many of them said that they wanted that, but, it really wasn't the case. And I'm going to try to make the videos into short segments because, I want to consolidate everything. And I'm going to go back until, how I got here when Mike came into my life, and Cluffstead. Like I said, I met Cluffstead, years ago in Manomet. And Jim and I were having some problems. Little did I know that Cluffstead and Jim McGarrigle were connected. There has been some rumor and accusation that these people were all these men were either connected to the Kennedys or the Clintons, if not both. But nobody acknowledged it. And these men, for them to have the character that they had to have had some power, because they weren't most definitely not intelligent enough per se to scheme all of these things together. But yeah, being used, I think everybody was there to meet and use everybody's needs. They were using everybody. And these men have a past. I know Rick was associated with drugs. Probably all of them were associated with drugs at some point. I know when I was with Rick, he knew an array of dental assistants. So, there was an old myth that, a lot of these men get involved with those kind of women just to try to, get things out of them. And however, I'm not really interested in the drugs and in their life. I'm interested mostly in the people that's behind it, who's giving these people the power to do such. And I think where it lies is through politics. And, for some reason, Hillary Clinton's name was always mentioned. However, it's a mess, dear friends. It's a mess. And it escalated, and it escalated. And You know, it has to stop somewhere. And then after I got involved with these men, some of the men I had to get involved with, I had no choice. Because of the position I was in my life. And they improvised on it. They taken advantage of it. You just have no idea what I've been through, you know, to survive it. And, you know, the men would also mock my pains during it. And I talked to a friend, and they says, Carla, regardless, somebody is prompting these men to do the things that they're doing. 50% of it is prompted. The other 50% is what they're doing on their own. They're just nasty type people. And, you know, all of these men had something in common. They like to control women. You know, and it's if you read the textbook version of psychology, mental illness or psychotics or unstable people, it's right there. Men who have a fetish for wanting to control women and abuse women have more than likely, statistics say, probably 75% or more have had some type of abuse. Oh, without a doubt, in some way. It's either from a mother or a father, but more likely men that like to control women usually is from the mother, I think, because they have a sense of wanting to control and abuse women for just, you know, no reason at all. But we're in the 21st century. These things don't happen anymore. But I'm going to be back. This here is just the preview. Everything is, this is the ending, guys. This is it. We're here. And everything has to be exposed. My relationship with Michael Salisbury, Rick Fusaro, Richard Klufstid, and Jason T. Hicks. You know, Jason, he really got out of it. He wanted no parts to do with it. And John Porter, he was instrumental. He gave me a lot of information, but John kind of plays two sides because John is associated with George Bush, our former president, Jr., and he's a distant relative. And John he's put his neck on the line. He's told me a lot of things, but then again, he's played two sides too. And also Jim's friend Stephen, he was another one. So, and it's been alleged that they're all related. So we have these men, Richard Klufstid, Jason Hicks, Rick Fusaro, Michael Salisbury, Tiny Tavares, Peter Morin. See, Jim McGarrigle I was in a relationship with. And Jim McGarrigle, he liked spoiling me. You know, so he was different, but he was abusive, but just in a different way. It wasn't in the manner of which these men had come after me. These men, a lot of these men was ungroomed when it came to women. They didn't have a clue as to how to treat a lady of my caliber. A lot of these men were more accustomed to what you call loose women. Some women would refer to them as skanks, or, you know, I mean, very loose women. And so they had very, very little respect for women, and did not know how to communicate well with women or in a relationship. And I think they seen me, Miss Bouvier, as a challenge. But I think on the other token, they were prompted what to do. Because I was told verbatim that some of these men worked for the politicians. And I was told that by people that work in our government. So this is about to be interesting, you all. This is unraveling. Carla Bouvier, I'll be right back. Okay, Carla Bouvier back. Lady Carla with part 3, the ending. It's going to be quite a few videos. But anyway, getting back to Kerry, how I used to call and write Senator Kerry about my housing, I was writing Senator Kerry, since 1998, 1999. I couldn't understand why the senator wouldn't respond to me. I was telling him about my life, how I was torn down, how they wouldn't give my special needs son services in the state. I hadn't a clue what was going on. But you got to also understand, during that time, I met Peter Morin. We go back. The first person I met out of this whole ordeal was Tom Florence. They called him the Flow Man. The Flow Man has created dummy corporations, what I was telling you all about earlier. This is what I got the information from George W. Bush's distant cousin, John Porter. I pulled it up on the internet. And first he had Flowell Trust. He was into real estate. And then Peter Morin had these businesses, like his friend said, Tom Florence stated that Peter would open up all these dummy offices, wanting people to think that, he had something, and he was probably doing something illegal. Well, like Tom was someone to talk. This thing, and then Tom would invite me out to his house to sing and have a jam session. And back then, that was a lot of years ago, I was built like a brick shithouse, excuse my French, and I had a face like an angel. I was a looker, and I remember them literally having to put the music stand in front of me because I was just dancing and stuff. And I stayed fit and shape. And I still try to do my best, but again, my life has been torn down but I guess I'm still not bad. But however, I remember Tom asking me to go out and say bye to Peter. And I knew what Tom was doing because Peter was into zoning. And when you're into zoning, those are the people that can get things done with businesses. They can either shut businesses down or close them. And I think for some reason, the state of Massachusetts gave Peter a lot of power. They even had given him, he was setting the rates for insurance in the state of Massachusetts. And guys, you got to keep in mind, I was having problems with all of these things. From my housing, which I never needed, but then all of a sudden I did, to my insurance. And it was Tom Florence, I remember, and I gave Peter a kiss on the cheek, a lips, and I told him I'd see him later. And I was planning on seeing Peter later. And yes, I was attracted to Peter then, but it didn't turn out that way. No. Nope. My life was being torn down shortly after that. I mean, it was awful. It was being torn down that bad. So, and I didn't have time to think about a relationship. I had a special needs son. Our lives was turned upside down. We were in a different state, a different environment. And then there was Tiny Tavares. He was in the picture. He was calling me. And I told Tiny, I says, I am not interested in a relationship. And he says, you must want your death wish. I had a lot going on then. I was a lot younger. I wasn't thinking people and these men would become that vindictive. But they do. Mankind have changed. And I think we're getting wiser about men and their their illnesses, their problems, because studies show any men, and you guys may have mocked the fact of me writing these write-ups about men and extreme chronic mental illness, but it's common in boys from the ages of 9 to 21. And any boy that age is susceptible to becoming a schizophrenic, a psychotic. And I think it's associated with pedophilia. I do. Studies haven't shown it. But, excuse me, my microphone. You all, please hold on a second. But, I myself think that it is possibly associated with some form of child abuse. Because if you look at it, all these men has the same textbook version. They want to control women. They're abusive to women. They have little or no respect for women. And, those things just don't happen. The Bible, the scriptures tells us, for God did not make it the spirit of fear, but he made the spirit of power, love, and of sound mind. The scriptures also tells us that God made mankind in his own image. God is a strong being, not a weak being. Mankind makes us weak. Mankind can break us down. But the only way we can survive that without being broken down is if we have God within us. And I don't know about you all, but I got him in me, because I wouldn't have made it thus far. Oh, I wouldn't have made it at all. It's no way humanly possible. And they're still trying. And the scriptures also tell us, when God is for you, no man can tear you down. Any weapon formed against you shall not prosper. So you people are fighting a losing battle here. If it's over jealousy or over my birthright, it does not matter. I'm not on Facebook for my birthright. I'm not on Facebook for entertainment. I'm not on Facebook to look pretty. I'm not on Facebook to promote a book. I'm on Facebook because this is a serious life situation. The events happening are real. This is the sick behind the scenes bullshit that goes on in our country daily. Probably have happened to other people in their lives, but it's not happening to Carla Bouvier. So if people don't like it, it's too bad. But it's my life. I don't read anywhere in the good book in the Bible where it states God says we're supposed to allow mankind to kill us. It's not happening here. I've told all these people, I haven't been reporting these stories forever just for entertainment. I've been reporting them hoping and praying something would lighten in some of these warped minds and get beyond it. But it hadn't. So then, as me writing John Kerry, nothing. And there's a reason behind that. I think Peter and Jim both might have been connected with John Kerry. But however, I do know Ted Kennedy was threatened when he tried to come to my aid. And it had to have been with the group of people that I'm naming. And yes, Teresa Murray in Plymouth, she was used in it. Deval Patrick was used in it. I think they may have gotten out by now. If not, they could be getting some pressure. Who knows? These people are just not thinking. And now I'd say I was told too that they're using me for their own agenda. They want two people out of politics. Those two people, what I was told, it has been alleged, are Hillary Clinton and John Kerry. So rather than rectifying everything, they'll let it become a conglomerate because of Hillary Clinton and John Kerry's participation in this. And it's a couple of rich men too that have been named, who have been mentioned in it. All over one woman, but I'm the weak one. And they're waiting for me to destroy myself. You people don't know God. You don't. Carla Bouvier, I'll be back. I'll have to break on that one. I'll be back. Carla Bouvier. Hello, everyone. It's Lady Carla Bouvier. I'm back again on January the 8th, 2014. This is the ending of a senseless mess. And where I just left off was with mentioning the men that were brought into my life, or they allowed to come into my life. And you got to understand, people, all of these people that come into my life, they're all playing on their own agenda. If they was brought in to bring me down, then they suddenly started working on their own agenda. And most of the men that was brought in, like Rick and Mike and Jason, they developed feelings for me. And I developed feelings for them. Now, Rick was one that I don't think, I would have considered a real relationship. But I was with Rick for 5 years. I had to be with Rick. And again, like I said, I'm angry with Rick, and I appreciate him all at the same time because he did tell me some things. And all of them did, even Mike, even Jason. And when they did speak, they spoke out of fear. So they weren't the real players in this. They were instruments. They were like pawns. But then again, they were working on their own agenda as well. They were doing what they want to do. So if I was receiving the abuse from them, they were doing exactly what they wanted to do and what they were told. So it was a very conflicting ordeal to experience. And regardless to what was going on with my life, every one of them always had their own agenda. I think Jason might have been the most sincere and honest out of it. He might have been. And I remember Jason mentioning a guy by the name of Sandero. I remember Mike mentioning Peter and Jim and politicians. I remember Rick mentioning Peter, Jim, and politicians. I think what happened was it started just like Rick said. It started out of jealousy with my family in Texas. Peter, Jim, Tiny DeVars. It started with them. And it escalated. And it just got worse. And now, from what I'm hearing from a Rhett Storm that called me, he was on my wall. He and I had a change of words. I think he's out of Oregon. He was trying to give me some insight about what he thought. I just got off the phone with him. And it's been alleged there's two other powerful players in it that's hoping that I will go postal or hurt myself. And I told him, well, don't hold their breath, because I'm a child of God and God has his hands on me. And, they can try all they want, but God's got me covered big time. And I've got people too, earthly people, bad people, but God's got me covered too. And he I trust above all. So it's sad that we live in a society that where we make mistakes. We all make mistakes in life, and instead of rectifying mistakes, these people would rather create more chaos. I've been on Facebook since 2009, 2010. Geez, I'd like to get off. And then I remember Rhett was saying, he says, oh yeah, but when this story is going to be a mess, but who's going to ever get it? I says, are you kidding? This story is everywhere. Do you think the media gives the information the right way? Word of mouth is the biggest advertisement. I get people and calls and contacts from all over this world. The world knows my story. So, I don't know where you got your information, Rhett, but, it's everywhere. And I'm getting contacted by another man from India. Anil, I am not moving to India, sweetheart. I've got enough problems over here. I have family here, and I'm not moving to India. So, please, just get that out of your head. The buck stops here. It's out. It's in the open. But anyway, I want to get to the story. And what happened when, right after Jason, I ended the friendship with Jason, which it was, we talked over the phone a lot. We never did meet. And I ended it. And it just seemed that John Porter was always in the midst of everything. And Jason indicated to me that John Porter had threatened him, had told him to stay away from me. Although John said it was somebody that had contacted him, and it sounded like him from people that are listening to my phone calls. Well, I don't believe any of that. I just think that these people were all connected to my ex, Jim McGarrigle and Peter Morin, which it has been alleged that Jim and Peter Morin were, somewhat related. All of them are related. This is what I was told. From what John Porter told me, that a group of politicians got together and decided to interbreed, to create a group of people that would keep them powerful. I don't know how true it is, but these are just the allegations. And if you look at the structures at a lot of these people's faces, they all have similar features, because I thought Jason looked a lot like Jim, and so did Mike, and so did Rick. I could see it, and so did Stephen. So, you know, it's a mess, you know, and I think, again, just like we were talking, it started just with that. The Williams wanting to keep the secret because they was told to keep it. Although they put it on the Kennedys, but what's so conflicting about the Kennedys, what I'm kind of up in arms with, you know, if it was the Kennedys trying to hold me back, why did some of them send a contact to me that they wanted to be on the board for the Carvier Foundation? And it was also alleged that Ted Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, he was the man in the limousine that used to watch me from afar. Ted didn't try to hurt me. Ted admired me. I think Ted might have known who I was all along. Ted Kennedy did. And by time, okay, I'm going to go, you know, a little bit further backwards from when it started. When Rick Fusaro came into my life, Rick Fusaro stated that he knew the Kennedys. He had visited them. I says, okay. I says, well, you got features like Jim. Well, you know, people, Rick was a difficult person to live with. He was abusive. He was one of those. He was an alcoholic. And I think the only thing that saved me is that he fell in love with me. He fell for me. And he talked. And there is a video. And I appreciate Rick for that. So I haven't turned on him. But the thing that makes it conflicting is these men that they sent in, all of these peons that they sent in, they started going on their own agenda also. So it was already just, you know, conflicting. Nobody wanted to reason or listen to anyone. But I do have to give Ted Kennedy his props. He's the one that got Jamie in a day program. He certainly did. Because I had my son 24/7. And I think it was Peter, Jim, Joyce, Tiny, all of them were in it. They wanted to drive me to a point to hurt me. And it was just like this Red and I were talking earlier. It started out with jealousy, but it escalated. And, you know, people just, you know, they were improvising on it. They were just getting in. It was escalating things. It just got totally out of hand. It's like these people knew who I was before I knew who I was. And I'm like, why is this happening in my life? You take a woman like myself who's never been in any trouble with the law. I've never been in any trouble. I never got in trouble in school. I never did drugs. I never drank. I drank some when I got older, but not like most, kids do when they were young, a young adult. Wine, we had parties, but that was about it. And, this was all new to me. So this is why I was so angry with the Williams, because they could have told me what to look for, so I could have been better prepared for what was to come. And I just thought it was very unfair to me. And they actually left me out there on my own. And, either I was going to go by their agenda also. And Jeray Williams, the brother, who I thought was a brother, but biologically we're cousins, he grew up as my brother, he was very controlling as well. And I remember Rick Fusaro saying, "Carla, I feel sorry for your brother." I says, "Why?" He said, "Because I think he got himself caught up into something that he shouldn't have." I says, "Yeah, I think you're right." And and I can understand how these people could get so jealous of a woman where they have torn her down to nothing. I couldn't even begin to put the pieces together. But they did. And at that time, I know I was going back and forth with Senator John Kerry. Back and forth, sending letters and everything. And I couldn't understand why Senator Kerry would not respond to me. I'll be back with more. This is the ending. Carla Bouvier.